Hi, I'd like to welcome you to this video on the Ning Minstrel Banjo site. In this video I would like to talk about the Briggs movements. But before I do that, I want to mention something called the hammer stroke. This is a technique that was introduced by Frank Converse at a later time, and we will go into that in more detail later. But you'll see me do this in a lot of these early videos. And I want to explain what that is in case it looks like something that I haven't talked about and it just seems out of place. But it's a very simple idea, a simple technique, and a lot of people say, oh, I've been doing the hammer stroke for years and I just didn't know what it was called, because it actually does occur in a very natural way. But let's give it definition and we can actually use this technique. What that is, if you recall what the half strike is, it's the hand coming down and hitting a single note with the first finger, the back of the nail. What the hammer strike is closing your hand together and putting your thumb on the finger so that you support that finger for the half strike. It has a lot of use in striking single notes, and you can travel through the inner voices of the banjo with relative ease and strength and firmness, and gives you a really strong, good sound for a lot of those notes. Okay, so that's what the hammer stroke is, and we'll go more into that later. Let's go to the Briggs movements now, and these should be available to you, and hopefully you're looking at the material now and have downloaded that. Now the movements are actually a series of strikes as defined by Phil Rice. The Phil Rice book came out 3 years after the Briggs book. The Briggs book came out in 1855 and the Rice book was in 1858. And although they use different language for the movement or the strike hitting the string, the end result is actually the same, and if you put it all in perspective, you can see that it is the same thing, but the language that Rice uses, I think, is really good and a good way to view the motion of the hand. So I'm going to continue to talk about the motion of the hand as a series of strikes. So we look at the first movement, and it's built out of that chord shape, which is the second finger, second position on the first string, and then the first finger in the first position of the second string. It'll form that chord, and we'll have that chord too, and then occasionally you're hitting the third position on the first string. That being said, the first movement goes like this. You're going to have a strike on the outside strings, and then you're going to have another strike on the outside strings. Another one. So far they're all on the outside strings. You have a series of strikes and you're moving your fingers on the left hand to go from there to the second, and then to the open. So all together with a repeat, the first movement sounds like this. Angle gives you this. Series of strikes. The second movement involves doing a strike where you're hitting the first string and then the second string, and then the first string and then the thumb string. So you get this. Okay. Still, it's a strike, strike. Then you pull your hand off for that. So it's the first measure, second measure, third measure, fourth measure. And Once again. Now the third movement is you have this motion first, this strike on the first and second string, then you move to the third fret or third position of the first string, strike that, and then you have the outside string. Same strike there, first and second string, then the open string and the outside string. So the first measure of movement 3 is this. The second measure is this. You can see you still have a series of strikes, the hand going down and up. Once again, movement number 3 is this. Now, movement number 4 is where it gets a little bit trickier. And this is where the last Rice lesson of the triplets is going to come in very handy. What we're going to have is a strike within the triplet there. So you're going to have 2 half strikes here, and this is where I would use a hammer stroke to hit these 2, and then you're going to see the 2 strikes within the triplet there. So I'm going to hit that first one with a hammer stroke. Then I'm planting first strike there and a strike there within the triplet. Then you take your hand off and do the same thing. So you have a half strike and then a full strike. Full strike, half. Okay, so movement 4 is this. Movement 5 is not a whole lot different. You have the strike within the triplet. Okay, you got the half strike and then strike, and those strikes there. Outside, first and then second. Outside, first and second. So number 5 is so you see the strikes within that triplet. So to review the Briggs movements, number 1 is number 2 is number 3 is number 4 is and number 5 is okay. So I hope this has been helpful. Mastery of these movements is going to help you immensely as we move into the repertoire in the Briggs and some of the other minstrel banjo books. Thank you very much.